Hello everyone, this is a video tutorial for your monochromatic portrait project. So I'm going to try to do my best job trying to show you how to get your photo ready, and you're going to be able to do it like 3 different ways. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you first thing that you're going to need to do is have your let's see if I can move this, have your photograph on your desktop, and then also have one of the value scales that you made. Well, you made it for your value project in class, so if you like that one, then use it. If you want to make a new one, hurry up and make a new one before you start your project. Okay, have your picture and your value scale on your desktop ready to go. Okay, so first thing you're going to do is you're just going to go File, Open, and we are going to get it ready. Let's see which one. Okay, that one. So we have to first get it ready to be colored. Okay, so hopefully you guys have a good picture. It's all about the picture, honestly. If the picture is far away, it's going to be hard to do. Okay, so I'm just going to unlock the layer. I'm going to just make a copy right away. That way I have an extra copy. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and play around with getting this a little bit darker with my adjustment layers. So I'm just going to come down here to curves first. And there's an auto button here. So I know we haven't used curves in class, or we hardly ever use it. So if you're not familiar with it, you can bring the darks over, you can bring the whites over, and then you can even bend this in the middle, which I usually do a lot. But for now, this project, I'm just going to go ahead and do auto and see if there's any changes. It's a very subtle change. I'm just going to do the arrow there. So if I turn that off, it looks like that. If I turn on, it looks like that. I'm going to come back over here and go to levels. And the same thing, if you bring over the black, it's going to make it darker. If you bring over the white, it's going to make it lighter. I'm just going to go ahead and hit the auto button again. Okay, let's see, did I do anything? Maybe not. Let's see. Okay, barely did anything. So I'll just keep that. I'm just going to merge that down, Command E. Take this one, merge it down. And then depending on your picture, you also could come down here and do brightness contrast. You could do vibrance. So you can try to get your picture a little bit more contrast by doing those things. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, so not much, because this picture is a pretty decent picture as far as working with this project anyway. So I think I'm just going to take that off. I don't need to have that. Okay, so now it is ready to go. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to first try it out in Illustrator, because I like the look that Illustrator gives you, and I'm going to try that. And if it works out for you, you can use it. If not, we have 2 other methods in Photoshop that we can use. It's best if you try all of them. That way you get familiar with all the different techniques anyway. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is File. I'm just going to save it. Okay, I'm just going to call it Photo for Project for now. Okay, so but it doesn't really matter because we're just going to put it in Illustrator. And then I'm going to go export it. Okay, so I'm just exporting it as a PNG. I'm just putting it on my desktop. Okay, so that photo is saved and ready to go. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you guys in your Finder, you have applications. And in your applications, you have in your classroom, Miss Butler did install the Adobe Illustrator. So if you guys have your Adobe license, you should be able to open it up. I'm not sure. I think you guys have the 2019 version, which you can use for this project. We don't even need to bother updating it because we're just going to use Adobe Illustrator this one time. Okay, so come to Adobe Illustrator and then open it up. I already have mine open, so I'm not going to do that, but you would just double click here and then get it to open up, okay? So I already have mine opened up here. This is what it looks like. Okay, and I'll show you all Illustrator in school, but you can see it works with vectors. You guys can see these blue lines. So everything in Illustrator is a vector path, and most graphic designers, well, every single graphic designer is has a ton of experience with Adobe Illustrator because every single picture that you make in Illustrator can be um, minimized to a index card, or it could be made as big as a billboard. So that's why Adobe Illustrator is a good application for you to get to know. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to go File, and we are going to, let's see if I do, yeah, I'm just going to open up my picture from my desktop. Okay, so that's the one that I just made in Photoshop. I'm just going to open it up. Okay, oh my goodness, it's quite large. Okay, and you can see that this is the actual canvas size right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drag it down with hopefully not without distorting anything. And if it's bigger than your, so this black line here is the actual a canvas edge. Okay, so mine's a little bit bigger, which is fine. Okay, I think I could probably make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to make it as big as your paper, so I need to make it a little bit bigger. Okay. Okay, and now let's see, move that over a little bit. Okay, so now what I'm going to do next is you could see that your picture has a blue box on it. If you click away, it goes away. So you have to actually come back over here and click on your image. When you do that, we're going to go ahead and do image trace. And I think I actually changed, I think when you guys open yours up, it's in essentials. So I'm going to tell you guys to come over here and let's see, I think I had it set for tracing, I think. Okay, so yeah, so set it for tracing. Okay, so first thing you're going to want to do is we're going to want to do image trace, but it's going to tell us that we need to rasterize our image. So I want you to make sure you have your blue boundary box on it, and then come up here, go image, rasterize. Okay, and I'm not sure what you guys have. If you're coming in with a CMYK, which is fine, or RGB, either one is fine for now. So don't worry if yours is different than mine. Just make sure it's either RGB or CMYK. Either one is going to be fine. Resolution high, if that's the default setting, keep it. Background, you know what? Let's put transparent background on so we don't have that white background that's showing. And I think that is it. So then hit OK. Okay, you could barely tell anything happened. So now next thing we're going to do, we're going to come to image trace. So we want to just have it come down to 6 colors. So go to 6 colors. It's going to ask you this question. We already did rasterize, so I'm just going to say okay. If you did not rasterize, make sure you do it before you click OK. Okay, and now it's processing. So it's going to flatten my image. So my image looks like a raster image now, but it's going to flatten it. Okay, so now you can see it flattened it all out. And it took away most of the color, okay? And I'm fine with that because we're going to be making a monochromatic value scale anyway. So I'm good with this. When you come up here and when you're actually working in Adobe Illustrator, you would then go ahead and color each path. So each single shape has its own path. Well, right now they're all connected. So what you want to do, you would right click and you would ungroup them. That way, if I click away and I just say I want to color one thing, it only selects that one shape instead of like selecting all of them. Okay. So if you guys are interested in Illustrator or you're interested in doing like a graphic design career, then I would highly recommend for you to start watching Illustrator tutorials and start practicing with Illustrator. And a good place to start is image trace. That's what we just did. And, just start experimenting with it. Okay. So let's see, what else do I want to do? Now, some of you might be interested in this and it might work for you and it might not. So I'm just going to show you this. I'm going to right click and I actually, no, let's see. Do I want, maybe I can't do it anymore. I thought if I right clicked, I could, there was a option to simplify. So if you want to click that option, I clicked ungroup, but there's also an option to simplify. Sometimes that helps with your picture. It makes the layers a little bit more simple. So you can try that as well. But I'm okay with this for now. So I'm happy with it. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to save it. Well, I'm going to actually export it for Photoshop. Okay. So the next thing you want to do is we're going to take this and put it in Photoshop, and then we're going to do the value scale in Photoshop. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go File, Export. Okay. And you want to export it as a Photoshop file. So go Export As. And then you're going to come to the format and you're going to come down here and you can see you can export it as a Photoshop file. Okay, so now I'm saying photo for project. Here we go. I'm just going to make that, separate that. Okay, I don't know if you might have to rename it. Maybe you want to say to here. Okay, so I'm saving that to desktop. Here we go. Color mode RGB. It's telling you this. Now remember, if it's CMYK, I think you're okay if you keep it as CMYK. Let's see if it gives us options. If it gives you an option, maybe you could click on RGB only because you have more options in Photoshop with filters. So if you're in CMYK, go ahead and do RGB. Okay. Medium is fine, flat image, and then hit OK. Okay, and now we are going to go back into Photoshop. Okay, so this is the photo that I had. Now I'm going to go File, Open. Hopefully it was saved to my desktop. Okay, here it is. So then click Open. Okay, and you can see the difference between the one that I just had before and now this is, oh, where did it go? Here it is. Okay. Okay, so now we are going to color. One thing I do want to say to you is if you have a very, very busy background, I would highly recommend for you to put a little blur on the background, okay? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to go ahead, Command J, so that way you can see the difference, okay? Go ahead and just try select subject and see if you can get your marching ants to go on you and your subjects or however many people are in your picture. let's see, I'm going to have to expand that out. So I'm going to add, I'm going to try and do this in a hurry. Oh gosh. Okay, good. The minus brush, bring that back. Ah, shoot. It's processing. It's taking, push that down. Trying to get rid of all that. Okay. So that's good enough. Okay, so now what I want to do, I want to actually put the blur on the background. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select inverse. Okay, and now I'm going to put a little blur back here. Okay, so I'm just going to go select, filter, blur, and Gaussian blur. Okay, and I'm going to make my picture way down so I can see what it looks like. So you can see that's what it looks like. That's too much. So I'm just going to come, and you guys are going to have to judge it yourself. Okay, that's no blur, right? And I'm going to put, and every single picture is going to be different, but I just want to make sure that it's not so busy. So it's going to maybe do something like that. Okay, and every single picture is different. So you might need a small number or a large number. Okay, Command D. So if I turn this back on and I turn that, so when I turn this on, you can see that there's a little bit of a blur on the back, which I like that better. Okay, because it puts me in focus and it takes that out of focus. Okay, especially when we're doing it all in one values or the monochromatic value scale, it's going to be better that way. Okay. Okay, so next thing you want to do now is we are going to now color it, okay? So you can see that we're going to be using all the colors in your value scale, okay? And so I was getting things ready. You know what? Okay, so let me first say this. If you are finding that when you used Illustrator, it did not do a good job for you, then there's other options, okay? And I'm going to show that to you now. So if you have other, um, so this picture here, I went ahead and I used posterize and I used cutouts. So I'm going to actually do that with you now, okay? So this is if the Adobe Illustrator does not work for you. It does not work for every single picture. So if your picture still like you think it's going to be hard to color, then there's other options, okay? So the other option to do is I'm just going to duplicate this, Command J. Okay, another option is to come down here. Well, first you want to go ahead and do all your adjustment layers, okay? So go ahead and do the levels and the curves and the brightness, okay? But I'm not going to do that because I already did that with you just before. So I'm just going to jump down here and go to posterize, okay? And you can posterize it, I would say number 4, okay? You can do 5, 6, or 7. So 7 is okay, but maybe like 4 or 5, I would say something like that. Okay, so if you like that, let me go back to 4 again. Let's see what thinking. I like 5. Okay, so if you like that, then you can use that. Another approach is to come here and I'm going to go in and do a duplicate copy so you can see the difference, okay? And another way to flatten your image is go to filter and go to blur. No, sorry. Go to filter and filter gallery. And then remember, I showed this to you in class, the cutouts. So make sure you come over here and do your, so you can see your whole picture. okay, and the cutouts. So I would say at least number 5 or 6. Actually, I wonder what does 4 look like? Let's see. 4 might be too much. So I would say start with maybe number 5, number 6. Let's see what 7 looks like. Okay, so I'm thinking 5 might be okay for me. Let's see what does 4 look like again. Maybe. Okay, I'm going to do 6. Okay, so number of levels 6. Okay, and then hit OK. Okay, so now you can see the difference between, this is my actual photograph. Then I went ahead and did a, wait a minute, what happened? What happened with, oh shoot. What happened with the, oh, you know what? I know what. Okay, so I need to bring this down. Okay, so I was wondering what happened. Okay, so remember the first thing that I did is I duplicated it, then I posterized it. Here's the posterization on there. There it is. Okay, so you would posterize it. And then, of course, in order for you to do your value scale, you would then, if you are using the posterize, you would come up here, image adjustments, and then you would come down here. Actually, you have to come to your, if you like the posterize, you need to actually just Command E, merge it down, and then go image adjustments, and then you're going to desaturate. Okay, and then you're going to color it with your value scale. Okay, that's the second way. Okay, the third way is what I did here is I went to filter, and I went to filter gallery, and I went to cutout, and it got that look. It flattened that image. Okay, and you would do the exact same thing. You would go to image adjustments and desaturate. Okay, after you do that, okay, then you're going to start coloring it. Okay, so you're going to start coloring it, and it's the exact same thing that I have here. I'm going to color this one. Okay, so I could do the same thing right here, and then I'm going to go image adjustments, and I'm going to come down here, desaturate. Okay, so now it looks like the other ones. Okay, so next thing you're going to do is you are going to bring your value scale in. So I made that value scale for this project, and I'm going to make it nice and big. Okay, and try to explain this in a hurry to you. Okay, so turn that off. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and make a duplicate copy so that way, and I'll just group those, Command G, so they're not in the way. Okay, so this is the photo I'm going to work on. Okay, so what you're going to do, you're going to find your lightest value, okay? And you're going to, you can have 2 different ways to select it, okay? So first way is you're going to zoom in, and you want to find your whitest white. So what you're going to do, you're going to take your, come down here, magic wand. Okay, make sure magic wand is selected. And I usually always select this right here, which is whenever you want to add to your selection, which I usually do. So I usually have this one turned on. My tolerance is set to 32. And I have anti-alias on. Now the contiguous we're going to talk about in a second. Okay, but sample all layers must be checked. Okay, so I do believe that your contiguous is usually turned on. So if I turn it on, I'm going to show it to you. I'm only going, let's say I want to select a white shape. When I select a white shape, let me do that. Let me do this again. Let's see. So when I select a white shape, it does one at a time. Okay, and then I would have to come over here and then this, which is okay, but it's going to take you forever, right? So that's if contiguous is checked. Okay, if I undo, Command D, undo that, turn off my contiguous, now Photoshop is going to select every single thing that is in that range or that value range. So I'm going to go back. So if I come here and I select that white, Okay, now it is selecting every single thing that Photoshop believes is of that value. Okay, so it looks like it did a good job. So right now I'm going to come up here to my, well, first off, we're going to just use white. So if you hit the D key, white is in your background. Okay, so the shortcut to fill with your background is Command Delete. Okay, make sure you're on this layer, Command Delete. Okay, it just filled it with white, so Command D. Okay, now the second way to actually I'll just do it again with the magic wand. Okay, so the magic wand again, I'm going to go to my next color, select it. Okay, and you know what? It's not doing a very good job. So it's thinking that some of these whites are the same, and that's not accurate. So if that happens to you, you want to come up here and you want to go select and go to color range. Okay. And color range, you're going to have to play with the fuzziness and you're going to notice and hear what it's going to do for you. Okay. So what I want to do now, I'm going to get my eyedropper and I want to select this color here. So let's see. Okay, do you guys see? So when I selected that color, Photoshop is saying that it believes that that shape and then this shape here and then some of these other shapes over there are the same value as this one. And if I come up like that, it looks like that. If I go down, it does less. Okay. So the fuzziness is going to help you get more accurate results. So the lower fuzziness is going to, it's going to notice less, and the higher number is going to select more. So I want less for right now. So I'm going to bring it down like that. Okay. And then once you hit OK, it's going to put the marching ants on whatever it believes is that value. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go to my screenshot and I'm going to take my eyedropper. Since I already have white as my first colors, I'm going to go ahead and drop down to about this color here. When I do that, it goes to my foreground right there. And hopefully that's enough contrast. We'll see. If it's not, I'll go a little darker. So now I'm just going to do Option Delete. Okay, and it filled it in. Okay, and then Command D. So there is enough contrast between the white and the purple, so I'm happy with that. Okay, and you're going to continue doing this all the way to black. So one thing you might want to do is, since I already see black here, I'm just going to go ahead and paint my black right now. So I'm going to go back and hit the D key. I'm going to come back up here and go to select and color range. I am going to select the black. Okay, and let's see, it's selecting everything that it believes is black. Oh, you know what? It's doing too much here, so I'm not happy with that. So let's see what the magic wand does. If I come over here to the magic wand, yeah, that's better. Okay, so that's a better job. So I'm just going to do Option Delete, fill that with black. It doesn't look like anything changed, but it did fill it in. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my next value, which is this right here. So I am going to take my magic wand and click on that gray. Okay, and it's all that color there, which it looks like it's picking up pretty well. Okay, and then I'm going to turn on my value scale, take my eyedropper, and let's see, maybe come down here to this one or that one. You can always make changes. Oh, you know what I forgot to talk to you about is the selection tool. So if you are noticing strange things happening, we got to get this set up. So select modify. So right now I have these numbers and I'm not sure if these numbers are going to be good for you, but this is sort of what I played around with and figured out. So I went select modify, I went to feather, and I brought my feather down to 1. Okay, select modify and then contract I have down at 1 as well. Okay, select modify. I felt like I needed to expand my selection so that way I wouldn't have a gap in between. So I went to 2 pixels there. And then I went here, and I'm not sure if this is helping or not, but I did go to my border and, well, I went to smooth and I went to 5 pixels. I don't know if it's helping or not, but I thought I would make that number a little bit higher. So I did that. And then don't do anything with border, leave border alone. Okay. Okay. So here we are. And next thing I'm going to do is color that in, Option Delete. Okay, so there's the next color. Yep, there's enough contrast between that one. And continue going all the way. So, oh, you know what? Magic wand, hello. So magic wand, or if the magic wand is not doing a good job for you, remember you can come here, select color range. Okay, and let's see what happens if I do that. Yep, that looks pretty good. So I'll say okay. And oh, you know what? Yeah, okay. So that's a little bit darker than that purple there. So what I'm going to do is come back over here, take my eyedropper. I want it to be darker than this purple here. So how about something like that? Turn that off. Option delete. Oh, not on my option delete. Okay, yep. Okay, and then again, I'm going to come back here, select color range. I only have one more area to do, which is this one. And it looks like it's doing a pretty good job picking up that everywhere. Yep, okay. And then this one's going to be quite dark. So come back up here, go to my eyedropper, and it's going to be a very dark purple, something like that. And let's see, it might be too dark. Let's see what happens. If it's too dark, I might want to go a little bit lighter. So let's see, maybe come up here. Let's see what that looks like. I think I need something right in between those two that I just picked. Was it that one? Oh, didn't change, did it? Okay, I don't want to be taking all the time, so I'm just going to have to. Okay. Okay, so we have that so far. Okay, now what you want to do is if you feel that you want to put more of a blur back here, you can. So I'm just going to do something super fast because I don't want to spend a ton of time doing the selection tool, but I would probably do select subject and or my quick selection tool, and I would get a much better selection. But since I'm in a hurry, I'm going to just select that. I want to put more of a blur back here. So I'm going to go up and go select, no, filter, blur, and Gaussian blur. And let's see what we have. Okay, that's too much. I'm thinking something like that is better, and Command D, okay? So, and then at the very, very end, if you are wanting to smooth things out, let's see if you have my, okay, so you can see that I smoothed out some of my edges. So if you are interested in doing that, you can take your smudge tool. Okay, so you're going to come over here, and it's the one right, that's the one underneath your gradient tool. Right click and go to smudge, And I have a soft round brush selected, but you could do soft or hard. And I'm just going to keep my strength 100%, but you can definitely bring it down. I'm bringing it up to 100 so that way you can see it. So what happens with smudge is, I'm just going to zoom in so you can see. When you take your brush, and I start here with the white, I'm just sort of like moving. I feel like I'm just sort of moving around my pixels a little bit, and I'm just sort of smoothing it. If I start here with my purple, then it's going to bring the purple in there. Do you see that? So be careful where you start your brush. If you start your brush inside the white, then just try and stay inside that white area. See, because you're going to end up bringing some of that other color around it if you're not careful. So it takes a while to get used to it, but you can come around and clean up your edges if you want. See, it's super, and that's because the strength is 100%. If I bring my strength down, it might not do that. So, but just play around with it. If there's some areas that are really catching your eye, just be careful because you don't want it to be something that the viewer notices because it looks different than everything else. So be careful when you go around and clean up your edge. Because what's going to happen if you're not careful, you're going to get this look and then the viewer is going to notice it because nothing else in your picture has that. So you have to be very careful when you use your smudge tool. Okay, you don't want it to be blurry in those areas. You got to clean that up a little bit. Okay, so anyway, this is and then you want to make sure that you have all value ranges of one color. So this is all values of the purple. So it's white all the way to black. So make sure that you have white, make sure that you have black, you have your middle hue, and then you have the tints and shades in between. Okay. And then you are going to hand it in. So go File, Save As. You're going to save it, and then you're going to export it, and then you're going to hand it into the classroom. If you are interested, this is something I'm going to show you in the classroom as well. But I just want to make sure I'm just going to save this right now. So that way, because once we do this, we sort of lose the other size. So right now, this is not going to fit a paper for me to print. Okay. So what I want to do, I want to crop it. So if I go to the crop tool and I come up here and I look at all my options, you have an 8.5 by 11. That's for printing. You have other ratios up here. So I'm going to do 8.5 by 11, 300. That's the common number for printing. Okay, and I think right now, if you use this here, we're going to talk about in class, but I would say keep it on rule of thirds for now. Okay, and let's see if I can move my picture. So I can move my picture around and let's see, and get it to be, you can move it, right? So move it something like that. And then once you do the check mark, you're committed to that size. Okay. So because it's 8.5 by 11, I'm going to now commit to it. And if you notice, every single layer now is 8.5 by 11. If I open up this group, they are 8.5 by 11. So just be careful. You can't just change that one layer. Everything changes once you hit the crop tool. Okay. Okay, so I think that's it for now. I hope that you guys know that it's going to be up to you to decide what way you want to get your picture. So you have three options. You have, make your picture, put it in Illustrator and do image trace and go to 6 colors. That's option 1. The other option is to come down here to your image adjustments and go to posterize. Okay, that's the second option. Or the third option is to come up to filter and go to filter gallery and go to cutout. Okay, so those are all your options. Okay, and then you're going to color it just like I showed you in this video. Okay, so there you go. And it's all about the image. At the end of the day, if your image is blurry and not high contrast, it's going to be hard for you to do it. So please make sure that you have a good image to start with, a good photograph to start with. Okay, okay, that's it for now. I will see you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.